Welcome to the Coffee Snobs podcast, where we just really love good coffee.
So grab your cup of coffee and join us each episode as we explore any and everything coffee related.
From pour-overs to lattes to the coffee experience, we explore it all. Because, well, life's too short to drink bad coffee. Let's go.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the Coffee Snobs podcast. This one's a special one for a lot of reasons. Because, well, first off, we have Chad on the episode.
What's going on, Aaron? Where's Tyler?
He is not here.
Oh, is he on probation again?
He is on probation. But
all the tables have turned.
The exciting part is we're in Canada.
Yes. We are in Canada right now, Toronto Pearson Airport. We just, this is such a nice airport that we wanted to hang out here for a couple of extra hours and enjoy the aesthetic.
So currently at this moment, we have missed our flight to Charlotte, and for many reasons, but one would be baggage. We're going to blame it on baggage.
It was mostly baggage issues. It was a
We're just going to call
Let's
it
leave it at that.
So this podcast was going to happen no matter what, because we had a lot of coffee here in Toronto.
Yes, it's so much coffee that we had to stop in Chinatown and get some bao buns because it was getting jittery.
Oh, it was wild.
But it was good.
It was really, really good.
One of the things that's impressive about this area is when you travel, you never really know. I mean, you can do research ahead of time, but you never really know exactly what kind of coffee that you're going to get or what kind of quality of coffee that you're going to get. And I felt like once we got into the downtown area of Toronto, just the variety and availability of good coffee shops was impressive.
It was extremely impressive because we were in outside of Toronto in Vaughan.
Yeah.
And it was a coffee drought. I ran to multiple coffee shops in the morning and literally just kept running. Like I ran to one and just kept running.
I would say that up in that area, they had coffee.
It did.
As a afterthought, not a priority. It was an afterthought situation, and so it was just your average run of the mill. We're making coffee because we have to type thing.
It really was. And I mean, you brought your pour over setup, and we had coffee in the room a few mornings. But even so, like the Tim Hortons, which is very popular in Canada, that wasn't even to be found in that area. They were let's say they were in a mall. There were two in a mall, but that was really it. I didn't see many external Tim Hortons where we were located. So it was a coffee time, but we're in Toronto. Let's talk about Toronto coffee.
So once we get into Toronto, you just start doing the Google search and trying to look around, and we found I actually Googled, good coffee in Toronto. And
we used one of our, if you go back to one of our early episodes, we talk about characteristics of a good coffee shop. Yep. And these characteristics were true.
Yep. So we found this place called
Fahrenheit,
yeah.
Fahrenheit.
So it was a little bit of a walk. We took the train into the city and a little bit of a walk over. Fahrenheit was a small little, tiny coffee shop, maybe 500-600 square feet.
Yeah. I mean, it was very small, but just the level was impressive.
The level of coffee was great. The vibe in there, they had kind of the upbeat music happening, very energetic, very friendly staff in there, the barista, and very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. If I'm not mistaken, there were 3 trophies on the wall, one from 2010.
2011.
2011, and then there was a trophy on the back of World Barista Championship. Yeah. I think he was a top. I have a picture of it, but I'll have to look up what level he qualified. But it was the barista said that all of the barista staff is trained for competition level.
Yeah.
And that it really showed. The guy was able to I was asking a ton of questions, as I always do. Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, dude, no problem. Just keep talking to me." And he was moving drinks like crazy fast.
On a side note, just on the city of Toronto thus far, and really Canada. Canada
Lars
in
is really
general
going to love this right now.
was very welcoming.
Very welcoming.
Very hospitable. And all of the baristas at the coffee shops we went to today were very, very nice, willing to chat, willing to have conversations. So that was a pretty cool experience.
It really was. So Fahrenheit had 3 different roasts that you could pick from, and they had characteristics labeled out there. It was a really, we have a photo. I'll post it to our Instagram so you can see it. It was really cool.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but that's very abnormal when you go to a coffee shop that they give you the ability to choose your bean for your espresso.
Correct. I don't know many places that don't have it dialed in, and so they're like, hey, let's don't change it.
Yeah.
Like all of the shops that we went to after that, you had the pour over option,
Sure.
but we'll get to that later. But all of them, most of the time, it's just dial it in, keep it the same.
But they said, hey, you pick whichever of these 3 you want, and we'll make it.
And I had a cortado, and I think you had the same.
Yeah.
And it was very, very good. Very, very good.
An Ethiopian.
Yep, Ethiopian.
bean.
Yep. And so even the barista was like, hey, we know that the milk is going to be a little under temp for a cortada. I mean, like, he explained it super well, which is what put it so high on our radar. Like, he was willing to tell us information that you wouldn't normally get from a barista.
He told us the temperature that he was steaming the milk at, or bringing the milk up to, and then why he was doing it that way.
Yeah, which is it goes back to that where he said they were all trained to be competition level.
Yeah,
that right there, because you may do something, but you really don't know why you do it as a barista, and he was doing it and knew why he was doing it. So that was really, really cool. Really, really cool. And then our next place was, do you remember the next place?
The next
Dark
place
Horse.
that we went to was Dark Horse.
It was.
Which was another real big win. I think it was one that we had found on Google Maps, and it had a reclaimed wood and leather aesthetic.
It did.
Big open windows, big work tables in there. Just kind of it was one of those places. It looked like it was in a very business district. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of working professionals in there that were utilizing the space. Maybe some students in there that were utilizing the space for work. But just a very welcoming environment. It
really was a very welcoming environment. So we order our drinks, and I think at that moment we both ordered. You ordered a oat milk latte.
Yeah, you got the oat milk latte. They had that option there. I like to try it on occasion whenever it is an option. Just it's a little bit of a different flavor, and especially I knew we were going to be on a coffee experience today, and so I wanted to just kind of keep that dairy mixed up a little bit there.
Yeah. So and then I had a latte, just normal. Just regular whole milk, and it was really, really good. So both of the baristas, the females behind the bar, very, very nice. Like a few takeaways from the Dark Horse is on the hopper, they used a grease pencil. So that would be a pencil that they could put their...
Kind of like a dry erase marker.
Yeah, dry erase marker. And so literally they would go through and dial in the machine throughout the day, dial in the grinder, not the espresso machine, dial in the grinder. And it was like... They knew how they were doing it. They knew the method. She was very knowledgeable.
Yeah, she was very knowledgeable, and they used a roasted bean from somewhere that
JJ something, but it was labeled as Dark Horse. So everything that they had was Dark Horse, and I think it was $20,000 was actually the roast that they were doing that day for their espresso. Hold on one second. We're just making sure that...
Yeah, I don't think that's us.
Okay, that's not us. Okay. So, back to the episode. So, that was really, really good. But here's the win for Dark Horse, because as we were chatting with them, trying to understand what they were doing, they opened Pandora's box on the Toronto coffee scene.
Yes. So you asked, are there any coffee shops we should be aware of? And they started rattling off, which was really cool. You know, we've talked about this, I think, before. Good coffee recognizes other good coffee.
Yeah.
When baristas are knowledgeable of the industry and they're able to share that information, I think that was pretty neat. But they gave you an entire list.
It was 9 coffee shops within a 3 mile, and I don't think any of them were coffee chains besides 2 of them.
Yeah, and the chains were like local chains.
Yeah.
So, like we have in Charlotte, there's 3 or 4 of the same coffee shop there. But yeah, they were all local chains, but that were doing something a little bit different.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Our next place on the list, which we walked through Chinatown, and Chad said that we did stop at, what was that little restaurant called?
It was a little Asian bakery, and man.
Yeah. Now, see, I have never experienced this. So I love food, but Chad, he was like, have you ever had this? And I'm like, no. So we walk in, and he's just like, look, get what I get. And we got, what did we get? I know this is coffee, but you need to.
Yeah, so they're steamed pork buns, barbecued steamed pork buns, and barbecue baked pork bun.
Yep. And then I got like another little pastry thing with meat, and it was just know it was our break so that the bread could soak up the coffee because we were about to venture on. And so then we go to, I would say, probably one of the nicest coffee shops. And when I say nicest, like the way it was set up, it was very unique, and that was Quantum. Is that correct?
It was Quantum, and they were very much set up. They were very process driven.
Very.
So you got to imagine this is maybe a 2,000 square foot coffee shop.
Yep.
They had a separate line to place your order, and then a separate bar where they were making drinks. They had 2 3-head espresso machines.
Massive machines.
And I mean, they were set
Gorgeous.
up for production. Now, this is in the Garment District of Toronto, so they were, again, it was a very popular area. We were there at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they were very busy at that time. But the place was set up. It was very process driven. You could tell that.
Yeah, it was very, very nice. So when he says there are 2, a line to order your drinks and a line to pick up your drinks, they're literally on the opposite sides of the facility.
Yeah.
And so what we both got, though, was pour-overs, because on the Google map we see pour-overs and we see the automated machines.
Yes.
And so we both walk in, and you get to pick. It was another place that you got to pick your roast, but it wasn't. You didn't get to pick your roast for espresso. You get to pick it for pour-over.
Yes.
And so, oh my gosh, I love the process of pour-over. I like the hand, but when the automated machine at this level was totally next level.
So it's called a Pour Steady.
Pour Steady.
Yeah, if you Google that, I'm sure there's YouTube videos on it. But the Pour Steady machine, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
On through words, but it was an automated machine that had, I think, 6 places.
Yep, 6 places.
6 pour-over stations, and a nozzle that was on a motorized belt that would go back and forth. But it wasn't just pouring water; it was spreading the water back and forth.
So if you think of like a 4-axis head or a 3-axis head would be left, right, up, down, okay, in a pour-over and an automated pour-over setup. Well, this was a 5-axis head, meaning it would move left to right, up and down, and then rotate. So the way it was dispensing the water would actually, they were all V60 pour-over units, and so it would literally disperse the water up the V60 to actually move the grains down.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Yes,
impressive.
It was. I mean, and it produced a really good cup of coffee. But he was able to do, again, this. You have to understand that this coffee shop, we've been to so many of them. There's some handcrafted ones where they pride themselves on a human physically making the coffee. And in this particular setup, they had excuse me, they had the humans operating machines that were precisely dialed in, and so they were able to do mass quantities at a high level, at a high quality, which was really impressive.
Yeah, and they had this coffee shop had some specialty beans, so they were collaborating with some roasters, and so they had some specialty beans back there that were only there for a limited time, which was really, really cool. I took photos of all the bags that they were featuring at that moment. But the really cool thing is I ordered a iced pour-over, which I got one in Minnesota. at Annalise coffee shop, and that was my first time having it. I haven't had one since, but I got it there, and man, it is a really, really good beverage.
Yeah, I got a chance to take a sip of it, and it was definitely a different taste.
It's 40. This morning it was 47 degrees. It may be a little warmer now, maybe in the 50s, but it was really cold
and drizzly, rainy, like just a kind of a wet day all around. Yeah. Not really the day that you would want to have an iced coffee.
No, my hands were red by the time I finished it after we walked around, which we walked 7 miles today around Toronto, and then ran back to the airport. So so that was our final place of coffee.
Yeah.
But we passed a few other ones. There was Blue Stone, gorgeous facility. We just looked at from the outside. Then the other one was Pilot. Was that one? That was one at the Union Station.
Yep, that's one that they had suggested.
But one of the topics that I want to talk about is the second cup. Okay.
The second cup, yes.
So here in Canada, in Toronto, there is a chain called the Second Cup.
Yep.
And so we know that Starbucks is everywhere.
Yeah.
But one thing that Second Cup has done here, and we found this out from another Canadian who said, "Hey, have you noticed anything about Second Cup?" And we said, "No." He said, "Well, Second Cup is everywhere Starbucks is."
Yep.
And it literally is within 1 or 2 storefronts from Starbucks.
Either across the street or catty-cornered, but they typically, you'll see them, a Starbucks is on the northeast corner, and the Second Cup is on the southwest corner.
It is wild, and their price point is higher than Starbucks.
Yeah.
So it's like, from a marketing strategy and from a economic zoning of the land to see how many people are moving, because I know that's what Starbucks is doing when they go into an area.
Sure.
Dude, it's crazy smart.
And Second Cup just kind of follows in behind.
It is wild how they follow in behind. They charge a little higher price point, and from what we understand, I never went in one, but from what I understand, they have a little higher quality than Starbucks, from a handcrafted, but they're still a box, a box chain. So. That was really cool, that kind of model. But on one of the days that we're here for an event, we went to a coffee shop. We were looking for coffee. We were touring the city, and we go to this coffee shop. And do you remember the name of it?
The first one that we were trying to go to that was closed, because that one met all of the strategy for the aesthetics,
everything.
And when we walked by it was closed the 2 days that we were there, but
it was a bummer.
It looked really nice on the inside.
It did.
So there was another shop right near it called Big Guy's Little Coffee Shop.
Yes.
And we walked in the door of a little coffee shop.
Now, we have, I think at that time we had 22 people with us.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So we were leading 22 people down the street to a coffee shop because we wanted coffee.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure, no, everybody else was fine, but we wanted coffee. So we go past the first one, and we realize it's closed, and we go into this one, and it's how small you think it was? Another 500 square feet?
Yeah, it was. If it was that, it was 3 steps into the front door.
Yeah.
And we had a line of people all the way outside, standing on the street, and the guy was very kind. He was like, "Oh, what can I get you?" And we just started ordering one after another, and 20 some people place a coffee order.
Now, the reason why we're bringing this up, because that wouldn't be just normal. You go into a coffee shop and everybody order drinks, but we go to pay, and everybody gets either a latte. I got a cortado. There were some people that got hot chocolate, but everybody got a beverage.
Yep.
And do you remember how much it cost?
$30 Canadian.
$30.
Yeah. And he added it all up right there in front of us, and his prices, I guess, which I never saw a menu board with any pricing on it at all.
No, but it was. There were at least 22 drinks.
Yeah.
At I mean, I was wondering, when we left, I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to stay open. It was so cheap. That would have been, I mean, we both calculated it up. I mean,
at any other coffee shop that you would have gone to, that would have been at least $60 to $70.
And it was good. I mean, it was a little darker roast, so it's not what I like. It's not the roast that I would want, but it was coffee, and it was good. It met the need. It caffeinated. It was still a home shop.
Yeah.
And there was wood. There wasn't no leather, but there was wood.
It was a neat little experience, especially I think it was probably the fact that we walked 20-some people in there was the part of the experience, and the guy was just super kind and called his employee over there. I don't know if it was a family relative or what, but he pulled him up there because he was like, yeah, this is a place that probably sees, a couple of customers an hour.
Yeah.
And we brought in 20 in like 10 minutes.
And so it was like, he did a great job of throughputting 20 people in.
Yeah.
Massive variety of orders. But that's been our coffee journey here in Canada. Some takeaways: Toronto has phenomenal coffee. Like the Toronto coffee scene. I can't say anything about the suburbs, but the Toronto coffee scene is nice.
Yes, yeah. And Toronto as a whole, I would say, it would be a great city to come visit. Just spend a couple of days here.
Yeah.
It's a very clean city. It's large metropolitan. It's got that kind of New York City vibe. It's got large city vibe, but very clean, very friendly. A good pace of a life pace here. So it's definitely a place that would be cool to come back to and spend some more time here and explore around and see their culinary scene seems to be very good as well.
Yeah.
Got a lot of little quadrants of the city to go visit. So it's definitely a neat place all around.
Well, that's going to be it for this episode of the Coffee Snobs podcast. We just got lucky. We missed our flight, which I don't know if that's luck, but hey, it's glad to have Chad back on the podcast.
I appreciate you having me, and since we didn't have anything else to do for 2 hours, to sit here and have this entire room of people stare at us awkwardly while we're recording.
Yeah, we're in the boarding area, and there are a ton of businessmen standing up. We've actually had a few people take photos, which I'm gonna actually try to go get the photo, and we're gonna post it on Instagram.
I'm not sure if they're taking a photo to make fun of us or they're admiring the fact of all of our nice audio equipment.
Yeah, so he's currently holding his studio mic. I brought it. And I'm holding a studio mic, and so if you want to follow along the Coffee Snobs podcast on Instagram, if you like this episode, please 5 stars on iTunes, and you can always reach out to me on Instagram at Aaron Beaver, AAronBeaver, and Chad, how can they get a hold of you?
Just the easiest way is locdoc.net/connect. You can follow me. You can search my name, Chad Lingafelt, if you can figure out how to spell it, but locdoc.net/connect is the easiest way, and it is going to get you to me eventually.
Yes. Well, listen, I hope you've enjoyed it, and adios.